When it comes to drone cinematography, the concept of pushing the envelope has both a positive and a negative connotation. The positive is that every single day, the world of cinematography is evolving due to advances in drone technology. The envelope is always being pushed in a positive way in that sense, because new ways of using drones to capture different types of shots, new technology that allows drones to get into areas that they couldn't before. All this is happening literally on a daily basis. The world of cinematography is evolving at a rapid pace due to that, and it's a very positive thing because it makes the quality of the work more exciting, more dynamic, and overall better.
Watch out! Get out of there! Oh, get the fuck.
Another split-second disaster in slow motion. Seconds later, the plane lands. The live bomb is jarred loose and...
into the new aspect of UAS operations, I almost see it sometimes as a negative. The way that they've created this technology and put it easily now in the hands of the many, the cost has come down considerably. It doesn't mean everyone can have it, but it's much more accessible. You know, you don't have to be the top production house that has all the money in the world to have one of these.
You have a lot of people who are irresponsible starting to use this technology. They flat out have no motivation or desire to follow the rules and regulations that have been put in place to make things safe. They are literally pushing the envelope in terms of what the aircraft are capable of, and are constantly trying to do things that they really shouldn't be.
What happens is I feel that people forget or stop to think of what their limits should be. And you're creating things that, for instance, the Inspire, they keep touting how fast it will fly. Where when you're talking cinematography, it's almost the opposite is what the operator wants, is how slow and simple and smooth it will fly.
Many of these irresponsible operators have a sense of invulnerability when it comes to using this equipment, and they really don't believe anything bad is going to happen, and all they're caring about is trying to impress people who are subscribed to their channel on YouTube, people who could potentially hire them to do cinematography work, and they really have no sense of responsibility when it comes to safety and the public impression of UAS being used for cinematography.
On July 23, 1982, during the filming of Twilight Zone the movie, a helicopter crashed on set while shooting a scene due to an explosion that was set off at the wrong time. The accident killed American actor Vic Morrow and 2 child actors, Mika Din Lei and 6-year-old Renee Shin Yi Chen. The night scene called for Morrow's character to carry the 2 children across the river while being pursued by U.S. soldiers in a helicopter. As the helicopter got into position for the scene, a mortar effect was detonated while the helicopter's tail rotor was still above it, causing the rotor to fail and detach from the tail. While the low-flying helicopter spun out of control, Vic Morrow dropped 6-year-old Chen into the water. As he was reaching out to grab Chen, the helicopter fell on top of Morrow and the 2 children. Morrow and Lei were decapitated and mutilated by the helicopter's top rotor blades, while Chen was crushed to death by one of the skids. It was later discovered that director John Landis had illegally paid the parents of the child actors under the table to avoid California child labor laws, which did not permit children to work at night. Associate producer George Folsey Jr. told the children's parents not to tell any firefighters on set that the children were part of the scene, and also hid them from a fire safety officer who was also working as a welfare worker. A fire safety officer was concerned the blast would cause a crash, but did not tell Landis of his concerns. At the subsequent trial, the defense claimed that the explosions were detonated at the wrong time, causing an unforeseeable accident. Randall Robinson, an assistant cameraman, testified that production manager Dan Allingham told the pilot, "That's too much, let's get out of here," when the explosions were detonated. But Landis shouted over the radio, "Get lower, lower, get over."
When it comes to other things that are safety concerns or restrictions, a lot of times the creatives get it. For instance, when it comes to weather, when it comes to obstacles, the creatives get it. It's too windy, I can't fly. They get it. What they don't get a lot of times is when you have to tell them, I can't fly here because the airspace above me is restricted. And you look up in the sky, you don't see any obstacles, you don't see anything that physically would restrict someone from flying in that space. But the FAA, for usually very good reasons, has deemed this airspace to be restricted. And most of the time it has to do with that there's a lot of air traffic in that area. So while to the creatives it seems as if there should be no reason why you can't fly, you as an operator know that not just because of the regulation, the restriction that the FAA has placed here, I can't fly, but also because if something were to go wrong, for instance, you have a flyaway where the aircraft, you lose control of it and it literally flies away. That could be catastrophic if you're in an area with a lot of air traffic. Not only could your UAS take off into several thousand feet above you and fly right into an aircraft, it could also cause an aircraft to divert its course. And in a very heavy traffic area, causing an aircraft to divert its course is very bad, especially if the aircraft is in the process of taking off, or even worse, if it's landing. And whenever you have to fly close to people, whether they're part of the shoot or whether they're an actor or actress, depending on how close you have to get to that person, how far away the operator is from the UAS at that time, and what the conditions are that you're flying in, there can be a lot of safety issues there. As an operator of UAS, you always want to make the client happy. And you know that depending on how happy they are, that can lead to either future work or not future work. So there's always that desire to try and do what's necessary to give them the shot that they want. But at the same time, you have to be willing and able to tell them, no, I can't fly in this airspace. I can't fly any closer. I can't fly any faster. I can't fly over this area, and be firm about it. And you have to accept that could lose future work with this particular group of creatives, and it could hurt you financially and creatively in the terms of gaining respect and notoriety within the filmmaking community. But that is part of being a safe UAS operator.
I get the sense of pushing the envelope and the idea that that's what happened with test pilots. They did. They died. They were manned aircraft, and they pushed that limit, but they were doing it also where they most likely weren't hurting other people. And now this stuff is so accessible that I guess there's a nice waiver between what's safe to push the limits and what isn't. And that's going to be the big question going forward, I think.
Okay, that's one pass.
Know that?
Whoa! Wow, that is really bad.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry about the damage
Yeah.
to my car.
Put that over my house. I'm gonna be pissed off. You understand me?
Hey, don't touch that! Whoa. What the hell?
What the hell? I don't even think that's legal.
It's
What's illegal about it?